RP Show continues live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center and brought to you in part by Heavy Gym. It just isn't about lifting weights. Your best self is just a challenge away. Push your limits, conquer your goals, and become the strongest version of you. Visit us at heavygym.ca where transformation happens. Jersey Jim knows that. Skate every day. He's probably not skating today because he's covering the skaters at the Stanley Cup Final. How's she going, Jimbo?
Hey, what's going on, Rod? Good to be here. Yeah, they're doing good. Everybody's ready for tomorrow. These guys want to get after it today, to be honest. Let's be honest. Like 2 days off in between these games. Guys ready to go today.
Jersey Jim joining us from Fort Lauderdale on another day off between the Stanley Cup Final games 3 and 4. Okay, just set the scene. We got lots of time here, Jimmy. We'll go about 15 minutes worth. You were at the morning, or not even morning skates, at the practices today. Is that what, were the guys saying that? They wish they were playing tonight, or what was the narrative?
There you go. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what they were saying. They were saying, hey, you know what? We want to get going. We understand that the time off, but guys are ready. They're having fun. They're having loose. They're having fun out there, especially 63. Marchand, he early on taking shots. I scored on like his first 4 shots. One was a deflection. He's putting his finger in the air. He's having fun. They're all loose out there. They know what to expect this time of year. It's normal for them, but they know there's a buzz around. It's the Stanley Cup Final, and they know what's at stake. 2 wins away from potentially repeating something they haven't done in franchise history.
Jersey Jim Biringer with us from NHL Folk Press. Let's just take me through this, okay? Because up here in Canada, where I think the last time you were here in Canada was the Four Nations face-off, right? It's all they're talking about is this series, and I love it. But I'm getting all different opinions. They're still talking about Monday's Game 3. Obviously, we're anxiously awaiting Thursday's Game 4, but you were there. What was the scene in the building as the game devolved into what Leon Draisaitl called a UFC fight?
Yeah, there was some excitement before the game. Not as high as it was Game 7 last year. But once Brad Marchand scored 56 into the game, the place exploded. And then when Sam Reinhart scored to make it 3-1, I think a lot of people kind of knew the game was kind of over, even though the Oilers had just made it 2-1 on the power play. And then the Bennett goal pretty much just put it to bed. I mean, it was 4-1. The place was rocking. The players were actually asked about that this morning in regards to it. They don't condone the fighting. They don't want kids to learn about it, but they're glad that the game is growing. It just broke down. I mean, the Oilers took undisciplined penalties the whole game. Penalties 200 feet away from your own net. And the Panthers, the way they've been playing, you saw it all year. They can smother teams. It reminds me of what New Jersey all those years when they won the Stanley Cup. You smother a team, you get them frustrated, and they're going to take stupid penalties. And the Oilers really got off their game from the first 2 games. I was very, very surprised when it was 3-1 that they just pressed so hard to try to make it 3-2 instead of just like biding their time, which they had done so many times in the playoffs before. Just wait, play ends opened up, and then the Panthers just took control. I will say one thing that's really impressed me through these first 3 games is the power play for the Florida Panthers. Paul Maurice talked about things. The Panthers have 5 power play goals in the series. The Oilers have 3. That's a big improvement, plus the 1 short hit. I mean, that's the difference to me right now in these games.
Does anybody think Stuart Skinner will not start Game 4 in goal for Edmonton?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody expects Stuart Skinner to start. I would be shocked if Calvin Pickard started, considering Stu Skinner's record 6-0 in Game 4 Stanley Cup playoffs. And considering what they did last year, it's like the Oilers from Game 4 on in the series have a better record than they do in the first 3 games of a series. It's really astonishing that's the big thing for them. But I will expect Stu Skinner to start. I would be shocked because, as Chris Knobloch said after the game, it wasn't on Stuart Skinner. The whole team was bad. The whole team did not show up for Game 3, and it's not on Stuart Skinner. Yeah, Stuart Skinner said, I want some of the goals back. I need to be better. But the whole team collectively let him down, and he was let out to dry on a bunch of those goals.
You are there at the Stanley Cup Final. You're amongst the elite of NHL media, but you know every bit as much as they do about the game. What are you all saying about the Oilers' lack of composure in Game 3? It started before the fights and the rough stuff. It started before that, as you kind of alluded to. Do they think that they can get it back?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's one of those games. It was a weird game because that's the worst game the Edmonton Oilers had played probably since game 2 of the first round against the LA Kings. Because from the Kings game on, series on, they were what I believe like 16-3, 14-3 since that point, and they looked really disciplined. They didn't take stupid penalties. Again, the major outlier was the Dallas round 3, game 1, where they let up 3 shorthanded goals in a row, power play goals in a row, and that was kind of undisciplined for them, because if they hold on to that lead, they were dominating that game. Maybe they sweep Dallas, but again, it was one of those kind of a weird game, got out of control late, but it was still 3-1 before that Bennett goal. And even at 4-1, you thought, oh, well, the way the Oilers press in the third period, the way they dominate in the third period, 3-goal lead's not a problem for them. But they just went completely off the rails. And again, puck over glass penalty, the slashings, the cracks, the stuff in front of the net. Like, that's not what they do. And again, when you take that many penalties and you give up, 3 for 11, the Florida Panthers were on the power play in game 3. You can't be taking 11 penalties against the power play unit that has the leading goal scorer on it, the second unit. And I don't think they want to be called the second unit anymore, as Paul Maurice said. They're the other unit, has the leading goal scorer of the playoffs, Sam Bennett, on there with 14 goals. I don't think you want to be giving up, that many power plays to a team that can score. Not to mention you have Reinhardt and you have Barkov and all those guys, Verhaeghe. The Oilers have to stay disciplined, because if they're going to take stupid penalties like they do their game 4, and they're going to lose the series, because, again, improvements for Florida offensively, they're better than they were a year ago. Like, the Oilers are better defensively outside of game 3. Again, the power play is a difference maker to me in these first 3 games for the Florida Panthers.
14 goals for Bennett is an astounding amount. That's a good regular season, let alone a playoff. You're voting for the Conn Smythe. Would you tell me who you're voting for? Or is that too intrusive of a question? Is that a private question?
No, absolutely not. No, I love the question. I love to answer this because it's Sam Bennett for me. Unless Brad Marchand goes off in the next couple of games, those are the 2 guys to me. But I'm my leader right now is Sam Bennett for the Conn Smythe Trophy. What he's done, and Gadjevich said it after practice today. He's a leader. He does everything for us. He's one of the guys we fall behind. We go to battle with. So, me, Bennett, the way he's performed in this playoffs, he's a typical Florida Panther. He fits that jersey, he fits that system. And, it would be tough if he left this team, going to be honest. I think everybody kind of follows that style of play of Sam Bennett. And 14 goals, what a playoff, right? Unbelievable. Who would have thought after a 51-point season, Sam Bennett's the leading goal scorer for the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he's on a 4-game goal streak. He's got 5 goals over that period, and 3 in, he's got 4 in the finals. So he's playing well. So kudos to him for what he's done on this team.
Oh my God, Jimmy, it would take a couple hours to get through all of what I have for you. As you know, you and I can ring up a phone bill. We have from time to time. Bomber Boy writes in from Calgary. He says the Oil PK is a shadow of last year's penalty kill. And he also says, does Sam Bennett stay in Florida, or does he get the bag? Because he'll have to take a hometown discount to stay. Point on all this is, Jim, please settle the tie. I think the no state income tax argument being pushed forward by many, most notably Biznasty, is a joke. But I've had Canadian fans say to me, well, that's because you're from Florida, so you're going to be okay with it. Settle the tie, Jim. You're from Jersey. Is this a ridiculous issue like Gary Bettman says, or is there something to it that Floridian pro hockey players don't have to pay state income tax?
There is zero truth to this. There is zero advantage to this. You know why? A couple reasons. I know short on time, but Vinny Viola.
No, you're good.
Vinny Viola, West Pointer, what he's done with this team. Bill Zito, general manager of the year, he's going to win it. That's my opinion. I think he's going to win it this year. He's up with it with Jim Nell from Dallas. But the trades that they've made, the culture that they've built, what they've done here. Look, guys want to stay because they're winning. What happened, as Gary Bettman said 17 years ago when these teams weren't winning? This was a non-issue. We've had a hard salary cap in this league since 2005, 2006, right? It wasn't an issue for the first 10 years because these teams were bad. Was it really an issue when Tampa was winning? All I heard was LTIR this LTI. You know what it takes to balance all this stuff? You got to, what the salaries are, how deals are structured. There's no advantage to this. To me, it's the new LTIR. It's an excuse. It's a lazy excuse because your general manager doesn't do his job right. Bill Zito is doing a great job with the Florida band. Rebuilt this team to be a winner. He understood after that loss, that sweep to Tampa Bay, that they had to get stronger. And it's a ridiculous argument because they do pay state tax in every other state they play in. The tax code's been around for 75 years.
It's unbelievable, and I could name you the viewers that just refuse to accept this. Jeff, the Stampeders fan, he's in Calgary, he writes in, he says, how can a tax break not be a factor? He just explained it. Gary Bettman explained it on television the other night. I was watching. What don't you guys understand about it? As Jim just said, it's an excuse. And by the way, all that time I spent in Calgary the last few years, people were like, oh, it's the taxes in Alberta. It's the taxes. Oilers are in back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. For the love of God, let's move on. You were at practice this morning sending me some photos of Brad Marchand. Do you think he will resign in Florida in the offseason?
Yeah, great question. I got a feeling, my gut tells me he will stay because just the way he fits in with this team, he's having so much fun. Rejuvenated. A lot of guys that have come in here been rejuvenated with this Panthers team on this run to a Stanley Cup. Maybe not stagnant in Boston, but he's found a role. He understands his role, and he's having fun guiding a couple of young guys, Luosterainen and Anton Lundell. That's the best line for the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That third line, first line for me for the Florida Panthers. I think he stays, maybe take some one-year deals, like do it that way, take some 35-plus deals, way the salary is structured. Again, it's structured. You can lower the AAV with the salary bonuses. Again, that's something the GM has to take into account. But I think him and Bennett will stay. The one for me is Aaron Ekblad. I'm not sure they can get all three guys in.
Now, Eki, because we're good like that, and I went to his Stanley Cup party last September. He said he said how bad he wants to stay, to the degree he didn't go right out and say he'll take less money, but he's going to have to take less money, which is sad because he's playing in the top power play unit. He's playing a lot in these Stanley Cup playoffs. He's contributing a lot, but he's just because of age and all. He's made a lot of money there at 6.5. He will stay and take. You watch, Jimmy. Remember that we talked about it today. And I got to give Jeff the Stamps fan credit. He's written in, he goes, it's not necessarily the biggest factor, but it's a factor. Well, what I'm saying is it the reason these teams are in the Stanley Cup every year? No. Is it an advantage? I guess, but it's not the reason that it's still an excuse. That's what it boils down to. Sorry, you had something to say there?
No, I was just agreeing with you. To me, it's an excuse. It's not that big an advantage to me because, if your general manager knows how to structure deals and understands, how to put a team together. Again, with the CBA, go back to the LTIR thing. It's not my fault that your general manager doesn't have somebody on his staff reading through the CBA and understanding the little loopholes that can get through things. I mean, credit to Vegas, Tampa, and Florida for figuring it out. Right? Look, Dallas, okay, great. But by the way, I'm going to point to two teams real quick on the jet because I know we put it to bed. Why isn't the Seattle Kraken in the Western Conference Final every year? They're in Washington, no state tax. And Nashville was 30 out of 32 last year and spent the most money at July 1st.
And Texas and Tennessee and Nevada. By all of that, the Vegas Raiders, the Dallas Cowboys, Tennessee Titans, the Miami Dolphins, the Jacksonville Jaguars would all be the best teams in their league, and they're junk.
Yes.
Stop. Jim does a great job up there in Jersey for NHL Full Press. But there are viewers want to ask about some other teams, which is great. Paul in Humboldt writes in, and he says, is Chris Kreider done with the Rangers? You saw the report came out that they're shopping him. What do you know about that, Jimmy?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get traded to Anaheim. I know the biggest thing was holding things up was his no movement clause and trade clause. He had a partial no trade, 15-team no trade list. Anaheim on his no trade list. So they had to work through the deal, but they've been working at it over the last couple of weeks to get that done. So Kreider definitely going to be moved. They want to make changes. It's been a distraction all year for them. Chris Drury wants to redo this roster. change the core up, and wants to clear cap space because he's got some other work to do. Keandre Miller's name's out there as well as Zibanejad. The Rangers are going to be a new look team under Mike Sullivan this upcoming season.
Well, I guess, but I mean, you're there. You're covering the teams in the tri-state area. It just seems to me that the Rangers are a dumpster fire, and Drury somehow saved his job. The general manager. They go out through coach. Serena and I were walking out of the rink, which, by the way, thanks for treating her so well the other night. We were walking out of the rink, after the Rangers were in Florida. I'm like, they should be better. They should be. There is talent here. What is your read on the Rangers as a team?
They should be better than they were, but I think we talked about this through the year. There's a quote-unquote mutiny with the locker room because the way the players didn't like the way Barclay Goodrow was handled, Jacob Trouba was handled, moving out players. They're 12-5-1 in November. Drury sends out the note with Kreider's name on it to Miller, a bunch of players. And to me, there feels like there's a sense of entitlement with this team. I hate throwing that around because, people, you earn your right to play in the National Hockey League. You earn your right to get there. But the fact of the matter is they almost self-sabotage their own season after that note comes out. They lose. They kind of end up in last place, and then they have to fight their way back. To me, it's like, yeah, Drury's to blame for it, but there's partially blame on the players for getting another coach fired because of the work ethic that some of these top-tier talent players have with that team. Gerard Gallant talked about it. Peter Laviolette's talked about it. Let's see if Mike Sullivan can get this guy. And I think that's why they're look change and move out maybe some of, some problematic players. I'm not saying Chris Kreider is one of them, but, guys follow the leader in there. And when, Trouba's gone, when Barclay Goodrow goes, players don't like, they clash with the general manager. And to me, that was a big, big distraction for this team this year that they couldn't get over.
2 minutes left. An NFL question, because you cover that so well. We all knew Aaron Rodgers was going to Pittsburgh for a variety of reasons. It was finally announced on Friday. How do you see this marriage playing out, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I still don't know if the Steelers make the playoffs because the AFC is just so much better, and the AFC North is going to be better. Baltimore, Cincinnati, even Cleveland's better. Mike Tomlin's a great coach for him. Can keep him in line. I just don't know what Rodgers has left in the tank. Let's see. I mean, the Steelers waited so long to get him in. But it's going to be tough. Chargers are good. Broncos are good. So it's going to be tough to get back to the playoffs for this Steelers team. They may have a chance, but again, all depends on what Rodgers can do at the age of 40. He's not Tom Brady.
Ryan McCarthy wrote in, you know him from upstate New York, and he was happy to have you on today. He said, a fellow Devils and Jets fan. I thought you were more Giants than Jets. Did I have that wrong?
Yeah, I'm more of a Giants guy on this, but, Jets, they're there. To me, they're like the Mets, just there.
Well, at this moment in time, all New York football teams suck, but maybe that'll change here in 25. All right, Jim, what's up? Where can people read your stuff?
Yeah, fullpresshockey.com. Get me there. NHLrumors.com as well. Get me up on Full Press Media on my Substack. I'll tweet out the links. And Nightcap Recap, Full Press Hockey on YouTube as well. Follow along. Always a pleasure.
Great job, Jim. Appreciate you, everybody. Follow him on Twitter at Jim Biringer. He does nightly recaps every night and does a fantastic job of it. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way, everybody. You're watching the Game Plus Television RP show all across Canada and 32 U.S. states streaming as well. We'll be right back after this brief pause.